Thank you, dear friend, for being here today. There's a reason you clicked on this video. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was coincidence. Or maybe, just maybe, it was something deeper. Something your soul recognized before your mind could explain. Because if you are a Cancer, or someone with Cancer deeply woven into your birth chart, this is not just another video. This is a message whispered directly into your spirit. And what I'm about to tell you may change the way you look at someone you've trusted your whole life. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt watched, but not with love? With quiet disapproval? Have you ever dimmed your light? Not because you wanted to, but because someone close to you needed you to. Needed you to be smaller, quieter, easier to ignore? What if I told you that behind one of those polite smiles hides a subtle envy, cloaked as concern? Someone in your life has been secretly competing with you, draining you energetically, while pretending to care. It's not always loud. It's not always obvious. In fact, it's often dressed up as kindness, but you felt it, the strange tension in the air. The moments when you shrink to keep the peace. The invisible fog that rolls in whenever your light gets too bright. This person? They're not a stranger. They're not an outsider. They're someone you've called family. But what if I told you they've never really clapped when you were winning? What if I told you that every time you were about to rise, they whispered doubts into you and into others? And worse yet, what if I told you your soul has always known this truth? Stay with me, because in this video, we're going to unravel that silent manipulation. We're going to expose the witch behind the mask. Not a fairy tale villain, but a real energy that hides behind love, tradition, and loyalty. And by the end, you will have not just clarity, but a powerful ritual to cut the cords, reclaim your energy, and step fully into your divine light. But here's the thing, this isn't just about them. This is about you. This is about why you were chosen to carry the gift of emotional depth, healing, intuition, and soul memory. Why you've always felt too sensitive in a world too loud. And why that is your greatest power, not your weakness. Before we dive deep, I want you to do something sacred. Sit down somewhere quiet. Make yourself a warm cup of tea or coffee. Light a candle if you have one nearby. This is not just a reading. It's a ceremony. A conversation between you, me, and the universe. And if you feel a soft flutter in your chest right now, that's confirmation. You are exactly where you're meant to be. Now, before we begin, tell me in the comments. Have you ever felt like someone close to you secretly hated your light, but disguised it as care? If this message already resonates, write this powerful declaration in the comments. I am reclaiming the light they tried to dim. And if you're ready to finally see what your intuition has been trying to show you all along, then like this video, subscribe to join our community of sacred seekers, and let's begin this journey together. Because, dear Cancer, your silence has protected their darkness for too long. Tonight, the light returns. They say Cancer feels everything, but what they don't say is how often Cancer tries not to. You sense things no one else sees. The shift in someone's tone, the flicker in their eyes, the silence after a conversation that should have ended with love, but somehow left you feeling like you were too much. Too emotional, too sensitive, too exhausting. And so, you folded your light back in. Again. Because from the time you were young, the world taught you something backwards. That love means sacrifice. That being a good child means being agreeable. That the way to earn love is to make yourself smaller, so no one else feels threatened by how deeply you feel, how brightly you shine. You were born with this ocean inside of you, deep, intuitive, sacred. But instead of being celebrated, it was called dramatic. Instead of being honored, it was called too much. So you learned to protect others from your truth. You learned to parent yourself while parenting the emotions of everyone else. You learned to keep the peace, even when that peace was slowly killing your spirit. And here's the thing. You didn't just do it out of fear. You did it out of love. Because Cancer loves from a place that most people will never fully understand. A place so tender, so loyal, so unconditional, that you were willing to betray yourself, just to make sure no one else had to feel uncomfortable. You gave second chances before anyone even apologized. You said, "I understand," when all you wanted was to scream, "Why did you do that to me?" You carried guilt for things you didn't do, just because someone else projected their shame onto you. But let's be honest now, love. That's not forgiveness. That's manipulation dressed up as loyalty. You see, when a soul like yours, gentle, nurturing, emotionally intelligent, is born into a world of conditional love, it starts believing that pain is a prerequisite for connection. That to be safe means to be silent. That to be loved means to tolerate disrespect, because at least they stayed, right? But the truth is, love should never ask you to dim your light. Love should never feel like tiptoeing around a minefield of someone else's moods. And yet, somewhere along the way, you began to measure your worth by your ability to tolerate the intolerable. You thought, if I'm just a little quieter, maybe they'll love me. If I don't say how much it hurt, maybe they'll stay. If I forgive them, maybe this time they'll change. But let me tell you something that no one ever told you as a child. Your softness was never the problem. Their inability to honor it was, because you weren't born to be agreeable. You weren't born to shrink. You were born to anchor something holy in this world, to make homes feel safe, to speak in the language of energy, dreams, emotion, and intuition. But you cannot build a sanctuary for others while letting your own foundation rot from the inside. There's a reason you've felt exhausted lately. A reason why you keep asking yourself, why do I feel like I'm giving so much and receiving so little? Why do I feel invisible in the rooms where I'm supposed to belong? Why do I feel heavy, even when nothing is going wrong? Because your light has been wrapped in layer upon layer of invisible bindings, expectations, guilt, unspoken contracts, ancestral patterns that say, be good, be small, be silent. But that time is over. You are no longer here to absorb other people's pain and call it love. You are no longer here to translate your intuition into silence so that someone else can sleep at night. You are no longer here to keep the peace by waging war against your own truth. And maybe the hardest part to admit is this. You knew. You always knew. Every time someone crossed your boundary and you said nothing, a part of you whispered, "This isn't love." Every time you smiled through betrayal, your soul wept in the corner, waiting for you to choose yourself. But you didn't. Not because you were weak, but because you were trying to survive a system that rewarded obedience over authenticity, until now. Because something inside you is stirring. The tide is turning. That quiet, powerful light that you buried beneath years of shame, fear, and silence, it's beginning to rise, and with it comes grief, rage, clarity, power. This isn't just a personality trait, dear Cancer. This is your soul reclaiming its place in the temple of your life. And in the next part of this journey, I'm going to show you exactly why someone close to you, someone who should have protected you, has been slowly poisoning your spirit with envy, disguised as concern, and why the universe has finally had enough. So take a breath, place your hand over your heart, and whisper to yourself, even if your voice shakes, I deserve to be seen. Even in my full light, I am done making myself small for people who don't know how to love big. Are you ready to see what your intuition was trying to show you all along? Let's go deeper. There is someone in your life who always seems to care. They smile at the right moments. They ask how you're doing. They compliment your work, your strength, your kindness. They say they admire your resilience. And yet, Every time you leave a conversation with them, something feels wrong. You feel tired. You feel small. You feel like your excitement just got quietly dismissed. Like your light was just gently dimmed without a word of blame, without any obvious attack. And that's the danger, dear Cancer. Because this person, they are not the villain in plain sight. They are the sorcerer in silk, the witch in the family, who hides her envy beneath layers of politeness, familiarity, even love. She doesn't curse you with loud words. She curses you with subtle doubt. With, "Are you sure you can handle that?" With, "I don't think they meant it that way." With, "You always take things so personally." She tells others, "I'm just worried about her," when really, she's feeding the narrative that something is wrong with you. You know exactly who I'm talking about, don't you? This person doesn't need to scream. They know how to twist your truth quietly, behind closed doors. They drop just enough poison into the water to make others question your intentions, your sanity, your stability, while they keep their hands perfectly clean. It's not overt betrayal. It's the kind of emotional sabotage that leaves no evidence. But every time you shine, you feel their silence louder than anyone else's applause. You walk into a room and feel their gaze, not admiring, not curious, but quietly, cold, calculating, as if your joy threatens something buried in their own shadow. Because that's what your light does, Cancer. It doesn't just illuminate, it exposes, and those who have spent their lives hiding in projection and denial cannot bear to be seen so clearly. So they try to turn the mirror back on you, to make you feel unstable, to make you question your worth, to make you believe that your intuition is just overthinking. But you're not crazy, you're not paranoid, you are clairsentient. You feel what they won't say, you absorb what they try to suppress, and somewhere deep down, you've always known, this person doesn't celebrate you. They compete with you secretly. They don't nurture your growth. They want to contain it, because as long as you remain soft, quiet, self-doubting, they can remain in control. As long as you keep shrinking, they feel safe. But the moment you rise, they panic, because your power shines light into their unhealed wounds, and suddenly, all the facades they built begin to crack. Let me ask you, have you ever felt like you had to filter yourself around a certain person? Hold back your joy, your insight, your opinion, because their face changes when you speak your truth? That's not love. That's energetic control. It's not always intentional, but intention doesn't erase impact. And this person may very well be someone you were taught to love unconditionally. A mother figure, a sibling, a childhood friend, even a spiritual mentor. Someone who taught you to doubt your instincts. Someone who made you believe your emotions were too loud, your vision too unrealistic, your light too bright. And you know what's most tragic? They don't even hate you. They fear you, because deep down, they know you carry something they've tried to suppress in themselves. An untamed authenticity, a wild emotional intelligence, a soul memory that cannot be manipulated. And so they try to contain you, not with chains, but with invisible scripts. Be nice, be quiet, be grateful, be small. Don't shine too bright, don't ask too many questions, don't stand out, don't outgrow them. But the soul can only fold for so long before it begins to crack open. And that's what's happening now. You are beginning to see them not as they present themselves, but as your spirit has always sensed them. The mask is slipping. The whispers no longer land the same way. Their absence feels lighter than their presence ever did. And maybe that's what scares them most. That you're finally seeing through it. That your body no longer betrays you to keep them comfortable. That your voice no longer softens to protect their ego. That your energy no longer bleeds just to keep the peace. This is the moment the soul begins to rise. Not with rage, but with recognition. Recognition that you do not owe loyalty to someone who has confused your light with a threat. Recognition that your boundaries are not cruel. They're sacred. Recognition that your gift was never to be silenced, but to awaken others, even if that awakening costs you the illusion of harmony. So if someone in your life has made you feel like you're the problem every time you choose yourself, this is your sign. They were never there to support you. They were there to siphon from you. But not anymore. The universe is shifting. Your energy is shifting. And the next chapter cannot begin until you stop inviting the poison to your table and calling it tea. You were never meant to survive on scraps of affection wrapped in guilt. You were meant to thrive in spaces where your light is honored, not envied. So ask yourself, who in my life leaves me confused, drained, and doubting myself every single time? That is not intuition lying to you. That is your soul telling you, this person is not safe. And now, dear Cancer, are you ready to finally break the spell? Let's go deeper. You've spent so much of your life wondering if it was all in your head. The heavy feeling when you walked into a room, the sudden drop in your chest, when someone smiled at you but their eyes said something else, the tightness in your throat during conversations that looked friendly on the surface, but left you feeling invisible, erased. You asked yourself over and over, am I imagining things? Am I just too sensitive? But let me tell you this truth now, and let it echo through your entire being. You were never too sensitive. You were never imagining it. Your body was screaming the truth your mind had been trained to dismiss. The sleepless nights, the sudden fatigue, the anxious spiral that hit without a trigger, those weren't random. That was your soul trying to wake you. That was your intuition, pounding against the walls you were taught to keep up. That was your nervous system, absorbing energy that didn't belong to you and had no place in your light. And now, dear Cancer, the veil is lifting. You are not weak. You are awakening. What once felt like emotional chaos is beginning to look more and more like divine intelligence. You're realizing that your tears were never a breakdown, they were a release. A sacred form of alchemy. The way your soul spoke when words weren't enough. You've been taught to silence your knowing, to explain away the eerie feeling in your gut, to laugh off the dreams that stayed with you all day, to ignore the signs that showed up in repeated numbers, flickering lights, the sudden chill in a warm room. But what if I told you those weren't just signs? They were conversations, whispers from beyond the veil, messages encoded in emotion. You are not walking through this world alone. You've never been alone. Since the moment of your birth, you've been surrounded by luminous souls, guides, ancestors, unseen protectors, assigned not to shield you from pain, but to walk with you through it, to hold you in the unseen when your physical world failed to. That mysterious warmth in your chest when you felt like collapsing. That wasn't random. That was a presence. That dream where a loved one who passed came to you in silence just to smile. That wasn't your subconscious. That was a visitation. The way your favorite song plays at the exact moment you're doubting yourself. That's not coincidence. That's orchestration. You are divinely watched over, dear Cancer. And every time you questioned your strength, your spirit was already holding you up. You've mistaken your softness for fragility. But in truth, that softness is the armor of old souls. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. You feel deeply not because you're broken, but because you were born to be a healer in a world drowning in numbness. And when you feel pain, it's not just your own. You are absorbing what others cannot process. You are transmuting shadows without even realizing it. But here's the truth. You cannot keep doing that without cost. That is why your body has been screaming. That is why your dreams have been getting stranger. That is why you feel like something is shifting beneath the surface. Because it island. You're not just healing. You are remembering. Remembering who you are. remembering what you were sent here to do, remembering the energy that runs through your veins, older than any trauma, more ancient than any fear. And now the universe is asking you, are you ready to stop doubting your knowing? Are you ready to stop shrinking your light, to fit into containers that were never built to hold you? Are you ready to step into the version of you that doesn't apologize for her fire and doesn't silence her tears? Because this awakening is not just personal, it's ancestral. You are the first in your line to say, this ends with me, the self-betrayal, the guilt, the shame around emotions, the addiction to fixing others while neglecting yourself. This ends now. And when you rise, dear Cancer, you don't rise alone. The universe rises with you. Your dreams will become clearer, your intuition louder, your emotions more precise. You will begin to recognize the exact moment someone lies, the exact vibration of a room that feels off, the exact pull in your chest when something isn't right. And you won't need permission anymore. You won't need evidence. You'll know, and you'll trust it. That is your true strength, not logic, not proof, but an unshakable inner knowing that guides every step. So no, you're not crazy. You're not dramatic. You're not unstable. You are a lighthouse, and every storm you've endured has only polished your glass to shine clearer, brighter, farther. The people who tried to make you feel like your emotions were a problem, they were terrified of their own. The people who told you to get over it were really saying, stop reminding me of what I'm too scared to face in myself. But you, dear soul, you chose the harder path. You chose to feel, and that is the path of the healer, of the mystic, of the soul who came here, not just to survive, but to alchemize pain into power. And now you're here, awake, aware, and slowly, unstoppable. So when the chills come, when the dream visits you again, when the flicker in your heart says, pay attention, don't silence it, don't explain it away, smile, close your eyes, and whisper back, I see you, I'm listening, thank you, because now you know you're not imagining it. You're remembering the truth of who you are, and you are not alone, never have been, never will be. So now, dear Cancer, we arrive at the threshold. You've seen the shadows, you've felt the poison, you've heard your soul whisper louder and louder until now. It has become a roar. But what comes next is not just knowing the truth, it is acting on it. It is the choice to no longer carry what was never yours. It is time for a sacred release, a ritual of reclamation, a homecoming to the self. So if you're listening to this now, I want you to take a deep breath, slow, intentional, and prepare for something ancient to stir within you. This is not just a ritual, it is a soul contract renewal. The version of you that once tolerated silence and shadow is being dissolved in this very moment. You are being called to choose your light. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, but right now. If you can, prepare your space, a small white candle, or one with a soft silver hue, a piece of rose quartz if you have it to hold the frequency of compassion and love, and a blank piece of paper. Because what we write today is not just words, it is energy. Energy that will shift the trajectory of everything. On that paper, write this with your own hand. I no longer live to make others comfortable. I live to shine with pure love. These are not just affirmations, these are declarations to the universe. And as you write them, you are declaring spiritual sovereignty. You are unbinding yourself from silent contracts of guilt, of emotional labor, of dimming your fire so others don't feel the burn of their own inadequacy. Once you've written it down, fold the paper gently 3 times to symbolize the mind, body, and spirit aligning. On the night of a waning moon, or if you feel called, During a full moon, when the sky is wide open and the portal is most active, light your candle, sit in silence, close your eyes, hold your rose quartz, or simply place your hand over your heart and begin to breathe deeply. Inhale, light, exhale, what no longer serves, again and again. With every breath, imagine the old scripts unraveling, the old labels dissolving, the masks crumbling. When you feel the moment has ripened, set fire to the paper, safely, with care. As it burns, imagine every ounce of energetic manipulation, every lie you swallowed to keep the peace, every tear you shed alone rising as smoke into the unseen sky, carried away by ancestors who say, "We've got this now. You're free." And then, sit. Don't rush. Let the silence be the ceremony. Let your soul adjust to this new vibration, and as you rest in this sacred void, repeat softly, or in your heart, these words: "I no longer need to be chosen, for I have chosen myself. So, I no longer fear the dark, for I am the light. I no longer run from who I am. I return. I rise. I remember. I, 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 I. Say them every morning if you can. Whisper them when you doubt. Write them on your mirror, on the back of your notebook, or in the margins of your dreams. These affirmations are keys. Each word, a spell that breaks old chains. This ritual doesn't require perfection. It only requires presence. Don't worry if your candle flickers or your stone is missing. What matters is your intention. The universe is listening not to your setup, but to your surrender. You've given so much of yourself to protect others, but now it is time to protect you. You are not here to be the emotional cushion for those who refuse to grow. You are here to be a living embodiment of light, tenderness, and sovereign love. And yes, that means some people will fall away, not because you failed, but because they were never meant to walk with the version of you that's rising now. And let me tell you a secret, whispered from the stars above your birth chart. Once you claim your light, nothing that's meant for you will ever require you to shrink again. Not love, not friendship, not abundance, not your purpose. The doors that open after this moment are aligned with your highest frequency, and they are already waiting. So, as you close this ritual, look into the candle one last time. Blink once for the version of you that didn't know better. Blink twice for the version of you that stayed too long. And on the third blink, open your eyes with clarity, with sovereignty, with the deepest love you've ever felt for yourself. Because this is your rebirth. And it began the moment you dared to say, "I choose my light." Just when you begin to walk lighter, just when the fog starts to lift, and the warmth of your own light finally feels safe again, they return, quietly, gently, almost beautifully, like a breeze that brushes your skin and makes your soul pause, not out of longing, but out of a strange, unexplainable knowing. It might be a text message in the middle of the night, a name that flashes on your screen and freezes time for a second, a dream that leaves you waking up with a heartbeat too loud for the morning silence, a song on the radio that once belonged to your story, now playing as if it was summoned by some invisible hand. They will say they've changed. They'll speak of growth, of clarity, of regret. They'll tell you they finally understand what they lost and how deeply they miss your light. But here's the sacred truth the universe wants you to hear. This is not a test of whether you still love them. It is a test of whether you finally love yourself. The real question is not, do they deserve another chance? But, have you changed enough to no longer betray your own heart for the illusion of connection? Their return is not a romantic plot twist. It is a final exam of your boundaries, a cosmic checkpoint asking, will you choose nostalgia, or will you choose the new frequency you've worked so hard to rise into? Remember, Cancer, this is not just a person. This is a pattern wearing a familiar face. A karmic echo from the version of you that used to settle, that used to believe crumbs were love, that used to mistake emotional chaos for passion. Yes, they may have changed. But have they earned the right to re-enter the sacred temple of your heart? Or are they simply seeking comfort in the glow of a light they once tried to extinguish? You're not the same anymore. The version of you that once bent and broke to be enough has quietly died. In her place now stands a soul who sees clearly, who remembers what it cost to stay in a place that asked you to constantly prove your worth. And you've learned, true love doesn't require sacrifice of the self. It doesn't show up when it's convenient. And it certainly doesn't return with soft words and old habits. So before you answer their message, before you decode that dream, before you let nostalgia pull you into its velvet trap, pause. Breathe. Come back to your truth. Ask yourself, do I feel peace in their presence? Or does my body tighten, my breath catch, my intuition go quiet? Because your body remembers what your heart tries to forget. And no matter how sweet their words, the soul always knows when something isn't pure. And even if part of you still aches for them, even if your heart flutters with a strange warmth when they say, I miss you, that does not mean you have to open the door again. Love is not proved by how much pain you're willing to tolerate. Love is proved by how fiercely you protect your peace. You may still love them, and that's okay. You may still long for a version of them who never truly existed. That's human. But don't confuse that longing with divine alignment. Don't confuse history with destiny. This moment is your final threshold, and the universe is watching not to judge but to witness your choice. Because if you choose you this time, truly, wholly, unapologetically, a cycle that has spun across lifetimes finally breaks. You no longer owe anyone a place in your life just because they knew you before you knew yourself. You don't need to keep reopening chapters you've already rewritten in tears and fire. And if you do feel called to respond, let it be from clarity, not craving. Let it be from your healed heart, not your haunted past. Even if your voice shakes, even if your fingers tremble, say it. I am not the same person you left behind. Because you're not. You're more. You're whole. And when you say no, not from bitterness, but from wisdom, the doors that truly belong to your future will finally begin to open. Doors that require no explanation, no apology, no emotional acrobatics. Only truth. Only softness. Only peace. So if they come back, don't ask, do they still love me? Ask, do I love myself enough to choose what's real, what's safe, what's sacred? Because love, true love, never asks you to abandon yourself. And the love that's meant for you, it will meet you in your wholeness. It will sit beside you in silence and still feel like home. It will not knock on your door at midnight. It will build a home beside yours, where no light needs to be dimmed, just to keep the peace. And now, beloved Cancer soul, breathe. You made it here. Not just to the end of this video, but to a new beginning within yourself. Perhaps for the first time in a long while, you're no longer trying to be loved in the way that costs you your wholeness. You're no longer bending, shrinking, or softening your brilliance just to make others comfortable. Because something inside you has shifted, and that something is sacred. That something is you. You have faced the mirror. You have named the shadow. You have remembered the light. And now, something beautiful begins. You see, the moment you choose not to be chosen is the exact moment when love in its purest form comes rushing toward you, not because you chased it, But because your energy has become a magnetic beacon, calling in only what resonates with your truth, you have closed the old door. You've thrown away the mask. You've honored the whispers of your soul, even when they made no sense to the outside world. And for that, the universe is already moving in your favor. The love that comes next won't test your worth. The friends that stay won't require you to over-explain. The opportunities that align won't demand your burnout. Because now, you are walking in your frequency. And frequency never lies. So let me ask you, what would your life look like if you showed up every single day as the person you've now remembered yourself to be? What if you stopped waiting for permission and started living from the knowing that you are the light, that your softness is your strength, that your sensitivity is your superpower? Let this be your new truth. You are not too much. You are not too late. You are not lost. You are luminous, layered, and deeply, deeply loved. And now, I invite you to anchor this moment into the quantum field. Comment below, "I have chosen myself." Yes, type it out. Let your fingers become the brushstroke of your new story. When you write this, you're not just commenting, you're sending a signal to the universe, a flare of light that says, "I'm ready, I'm aligned, I remember." And if this message resonated, if you felt seen, understood, or healed, even just a little, please, help spread this frequency. Tap that like button. Hit subscribe to walk this sacred path with us. And if your heart feels called, consider showing support through super thanks, so we can keep creating these soul transmissions, sending messages of hope and healing across the world. But before we part ways for today, know this. You are worthy of a love that does not require your silence. You are worthy of wealth that does not cost your peace. You are worthy of joy that doesn't make you feel guilty. And above all, you are worthy of a life that feels like home. Now tell me, dear soul, what kind of video do you want to see next? Would you like us to explore more rituals, more soul messages, more cosmic activations? Drop your ideas in the comments. I read every single one. And this space is your sanctuary too. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. And until next time, may you walk boldly in your light, gently in your truth, and forever in the knowing that you are never alone.